Okay, I am live. Wow, here I am again. I will be hanging out drawing, so you know what? Copy. Okay. Mm. Mm. Oh. Mm. Pardon me for yawning, everyone. I have a nice cup of cold brew next to me right now that I made myself, obviously. And it is strong, so hopefully that won't be happening. Or maybe it'll happen more, I don't know. And it's in a mason jar because I'm that person. But anyway. Hopefully that kicks me in the, you know what? I have been just slow this morning. I mean, I've gotten things done, but you know what it's like. So I have some viewers. Hello. Drop a comment. Say hi. Love to hear from you. Today's chat is pretty informal. I just really wanted to go live and draw and see who showed up. So we shall see. Something happening out there? It is a beautiful day today. Gorgeous outside. I was out a little bit this morning and it was warm out. I think I went out before 8 o'clock. I had some groceries to get, so did that and it was really nice. I think this will probably be the last nice weekend we have for a while. It's going to be in the 80s here. So hopefully a little bit later I'll sneak out again and get a little bit more fresh air, but hi Seth, good to see you. How you doing? Yeah. Topic Matters Day. I don't really have much. I did title it Revive Us Again. I've had that in my mind lately since I think we're going through a period of revival in the nation, which makes sense. I mean, when things are dark, we tend to turn to God, for answers. So it makes sense. I've seen a lot of people who, had fallen away, picking up their faith again. I'm one of them. So, yeah. Oh, it's cooling down here. So I'm deep cleaning our house this weekend. Getting ready to hibernate. I love to hibernate. Honestly, yeah, it is feeling nice. It's nice that it's getting darker like sooner. I'm appreciating that a bit. Which is strange because I love when it changes, and we have the longer days, but there is something, I think, just a little bit more natural about having it, dark at certain times. Although, I don't know. It is difficult to know that, for a couple months coming up, I won't, get much sunlight because I'll be, working most of the sunlight, go out in the morning, it's dark, get off, the sun's going down, it's kind of That's kind of a drag, but we're in a sweet spot right now where things are nice. Just, you get to enjoy the changes before they start to kind of get more scary, I guess, towards the end of fall. I do love the beginning of fall, and everybody's always so excited about it. And now that it's October, people are doing their spooky time things, a lot of dressing up. I still don't know what I'm going to do for Halloween. I kind of was thinking of doing some, like, either doing like a character from a show or like dressing up kind of like in a, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like historical costume, not doing a character, but doing like a time period. So we'll see what I kind of figure out. I remember we did that once for a workplace I was at. We had decades. So I did the 90s. Elton John and Mr. Clean. Nice. I don't know if people watching the streams maybe don't, but I love sunglasses. I've got a large collection of fabulous sunglasses. Oh, here's even a pair right now. So yeah, I used to have these like round, large, oversized glasses that had like rhinestones around them. And I need to get another pair like that. Those always look so good. But yeah, people used to call that my Elton John glasses. Hi, Big Bad Mama. Oh, a camp in the desert for a couple of days. Good luck out there. Do you want to tell us what desert you're going to be in? I don't like the desert. I used to live in the desert. I can't anymore with it. Amy likes sunglasses too. Welcome, Amy. So Seth, Big Bad Mama, and Amy are all here. Good to have you. Yeah, I do. I like the sunglasses. I have quite a few cool pairs. So yeah, these ones are one of my more conservative pairs. But I like pink, so they go a lot with a lot of outfits. So when I'm in my, like my pink days, when I'm wearing all pink, if I need sunglasses, these are the ones I grab. Anza Borrego State Park. I've never heard of this park. Anza Borrego. Well, have a good time. I'm not much for camping or the outdoors myself. I need to be in a controlled environment. The last time somebody asked me about camping, I was like, you mean staying in a motel? Like, well, they're like, would you want to do that and I'm like, I'm not sleeping in a tent. I'm not doing any of that. I'm like, you look at me. I don't know how people can look at me, see how frail I am, and think that I'm going to be interested in any of that stuff. It's for hardier people than me. But it's sweet that people want to include me. I get that. The being included thing is nice, but I don't want to camp ever. It was fun when I was really little. Like my dad and I used to go camping, and he'd bring his gold pans. So we'd always find a place like near a stream or river. And I learned how to like gold pan and, look for different gems. I'd always find a lot of garnets and stuff. And that was exciting for me because, garnet is my birthstone as a January baby. So yeah, I have fond memories of that, and like also cooking on the little gas Coleman stove. That was neat. But yeah, as I got older, it just became like a lot worse, and the mosquitoes and the like just aggravation of it, and I just couldn't deal with it. Like the last time I went camping with my dad too, it was like really bad. I ended up sleeping in the truck because I just couldn't handle his snoring. Honestly, like I could not deal with it. It was so loud. There was no way I was going to get any sleep. So Yeah, I think, yeah. I concur. Yeah, I'm addicted to my modern conveniences, and it's not so much the not showering thing that bothers me as much. It's just, all of it, having everything. Life is so difficult for me as it is. I don't want to like rough it. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't made for roughing it. But it can be really beautiful. Like I do look at people's photographs of their camping trips and all the things they get to see. So, if I were more able-bodied, it would probably be more exciting for me, but still I don't think people really get it because they're not dealing with it. But comfort is important to me. Like I need to sleep in a bed. I can't be sleeping on the ground. I like to go to museums. I like to go to museums too. That's nice. I do like museums. And in fact, there's a local business that was opening up like a small museum, and I haven't been in there since they were supposed to open it. So I should probably go check that out. But maybe I'll see if somebody wants to go with me because it's usually more fun to bring a friend and nice to include people. So yeah, I'll see. Maybe have a little lunch and creepy museum date. It'd be nice. Yes. And restaurants. Yeah. I do like that too. Yeah. All the modern conveniences, all the urban, experiences. I love to travel and stay in a city. Oh man, Portland was we had this really horrible article come out recently and people were just bashing Portland as they love to do. Awful. But yeah, these people from out of town, I guess they came into the city and they left stuff in their car, and of course their windows got smashed in and their stuff got stolen, and they're like, I can't believe this happened. And then all up on the article are just these crazy nut jobs writing the most insane screeds against the city of Portland, just this is what you get for voting Democrat. And what else do they say? I moved away from Portland. I'm so glad. I'm I don't know any major city that you could just leave your stuff in and not get your window smashed and get it jacked. I'm not defending it. It's obviously awful that these things go on, but where the hell were these people from? Don't leave stuff in your car. It's going to attract nefarious types. I know the city seems quirky, but if you turn down the wrong corner, you will encounter the real people, and they're quirky. All right. I'll give them that. But yeah, and then I saw this other nasty, little YouTube short, and I can't remember the guy's name. His name was Benny. He seemed like a jerk, but he was like, congratulations, you ruined your beautiful city. Just, where the hell do you live? I'm sorry, where do you live, sir? Have you even been to our beautiful city, sir? I hate the trash talking. It's just so awful. Anyway, I probably shouldn't go on about that stuff because it's just disheartening to see people say such nasty things, and they don't really think about how it might impact people who actually live there, who are, a lot of people are normal and decent. Oh, I know what the video was. It was like some guy who went to Winco and he bought some like discounted pies, and then he set up a little table at a farmer's market. It looked like the Wednesday farmer's market that's downtown. And he like made this like really bad spray painted sign that was like artisan pies, $10 a slice, you know, for his little Winco pie slices. And people bought some pie slices, and you know, then at the end of the video, people were like, the guy was like just being insulting about, you know, Portlanders. And it was like, so I don't know. It was kind of like, okay, you're ripping off a little old lady here and like a couple other people. Like, okay. And it's not even ripping off. Like, I mean, I don't know, you know, buyer beware. I wouldn't be interested in pie from like someone with a sign like that. That would be off-putting to me. Like, but anyway. No, Seattle is one of the most beautiful cities in the country. Unreal. You know what it is? It's jealousy because we live in paradise and misery loves company. They want other people to be miserable. Like, seriously, Seattle, a dump. Even the word, like, okay, yeah, there's parts of it that are like, no, I'll tell you where's a dump. Tacoma is a dump. But even Tacoma has charm. You know, like there are towns in Washington that are dumps. Seattle is not one. It's beautiful. All the hills, the water, the sound, all the boat. It's just like the sun comes out glistening on everything. It's like, it's remarkable. All the green. It's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful place. Oh, that's that song. New York is where I'd rather stay. I get allergic smelling hay. I just adore a penthouse view. Darling, I love you, but give me Park Avenue. Yeah, no, I don't remember that. I know it's a song. I just can't remember. Yeah, New York is another place that gets trashed all the time. Now I know there's problems going on, but yeah, people tell me like I so often still get like people like, oh, trying to convince me to leave Portland. And I'm like, to go where? Gee, perfect, nearly perfect weather all year round, temperate, mild weather, beautiful landscape, you know, all modern conveniences. Yeah, I should leave. I should leave. Right. Okay. Yeah. To go where? No, not happening. Yeah. No prize for me. Yeah. Tacoma's got character. I'll give it. Tacoma has character. There's some like things about it that I really love. I'm thinking about the first time I ever went to a Torrid was in Tacoma. It was the Tacoma Mall. So that was a whole eye-opening experience that they would have like that kind of clothing for bigger ladies. Especially because, you know, like nowadays there's a lot more options for like plus size fashion and that thing. But as like a fat teenager, you know, in the early 2000s, it was hard getting dressed. Okay. It was hard finding clothes that weren't frumpy or just like, you know, it wasn't easy. So finding Torrid for the first time was like, options, clothing I might actually like, you know? Yeah, and then there's, like, really beautiful the downtown area of Tacoma is beautiful too. Actually, when I was thinking about moving back to the Northwest, I was looking there. I was like, "Hmm, I could maybe move there," because honestly, they have, like it's a very, again, easy city to live in, if you're in the right spot and area, like, the bus systems are awesome. Or like not just that, the transit systems are awesome. You're on the water. There's like so many beautiful like old buildings downtown. I remember like cathedrals and stuff that I saw when I was there. It's got character, but yeah, there's the people are something else though. It's like they're a different breed. I don't know. They're like, oh, and then there's the Tacoma Dome. So like yeah, it's a neat place, and then you're, like, right by Seattle and SeaTac, so getting around is easy. I mean, I still think I prefer Portland, though, obviously, like, obviously. Um, I think the weather's just a little bit nicer here too, because we get more sun down here. Mm, but anyway, yeah, Tacoma. Anytime I don't know, there's that Tacoma memes page on Instagram. I love that one. That one, like the Portland ones are a little bit more disastrous. And I've noticed they've been sharing like things happening that like aren't even in Portland. So I'm like, why is this on the WTF Portland page? But yeah, I remember seeing one video where somebody had like motorized their couch and they were like riding it down the sidewalk. Yeah, it's a lovely little place. There's so many like beautiful little towns. The whole area, obviously, of Washington is great. Like all the neighboring cities to Seattle are pretty special too. Mm. Well worth a visit, and it's like pretty quick, to get around to other towns, cities, go up to Seattle, see all that stuff. And Seattle's definitely worth visiting. There's so much to do and see there. I love the Northwest, baby. Like, I just yeah, people try to, like, pull you away. It's like, where else in the country is gonna compare to here? It's not real. It's not real. Hmm. Man. There was this, there was this viral clip, that I saw initially on the WTF Portland Instagram. It was of this, looked like a head shop or a smoke shop, place where they sell pipes and, other paraphernalia. It got some guy tried to, rob it, but he didn't have a gun. And the guy working there was like, he came in and was like, trying to hold the place up. So the guy was like, okay, I'll come over to the cash register. And then he pulls out a gun on that guy and like chases him out of the store, right? Uh, they made a well, follow up from that like video that went viral of this like security footage. They made a little commercial out of it. So they show that scene and then they like he chases them out the door and then it pops up and it's the same guy and he welcomes you into the store and like offers to serve you. He's like, but I wouldn't treat you that way. I thought it was like so funny. I mean, just to make the best out of a bad situation, but yeah. He was not getting robbed that day, and or probably ever again. Oh, interesting comment here. Something to chew on. Let's see. Hi, Weird Beatnik. Welcome to the show. Hmm. Do you think it's possible to make the argument that happiness is the new punk rock? Is it a new counterculture? Because sadness has already been part of the mainstream, but happiness not so much. How to even answer that? I guess. I don't know. That's hard because, there's a pendulum with these things culturally. And that's something you kind of have to understand, that the culture swings back and forth. Like we have periods of, liberalism and conservatism, and they come back and forth. And so I think, we have periods of people embracing melancholy and moroseness and that kind of being more popular in the culture. And then like happiness. I mean, what the hell is happiness though? Like, it's kind of, I don't know. Like, yeah, I do see that it is, it does seem kind of countercultural at the certain epoch that we're in. Definitely a lot of people have embraced their unwellness. And actually, I was looking at someone today, like who I know, kind of peripherally. I mean, I knew her years ago, and we keep up with each other, just through social media. And I was looking at her stuff today, and she just posted this picture of herself, and she looked so miserably unhappy in the photo. And I was just kind of like, I don't know, I felt some kind of way about it. I just kind of had a moment of like, it's too bad, it's too bad. But she's kind of like bought into all of that stuff. And I think the thing is, buying into so much of what the culture pushes in terms of like the really insane politics, I don't even know how to describe it, because I mean, so many of these like extreme, supposedly radical or extreme like woke takes that people have, and like those positions, they do really end up like isolating people, making them miserable, making them despondent, kind of making them give up on life. And then there's the whole therapy culture, the mental health culture kind of talk, where everybody is just either diagnosing themselves or being diagnosed with different things, and learning to see themselves as some kind of victim of their own minds. I mean, which, yeah, the mind, as I said in a recent live stream, the mind is deceitful. Okay, it is. And people who live in their mind and who identify too much with their mind end up, really lost, because again, it's a tool. And when you learn to observe the mind and watch your thoughts pass, you start to realize that that's not you. You think it's you because it's happening in your head, and maybe it's like your voice, you think. But the more you listen and you watch and you observe, instead of like reacting to, you just observe from like a third position, you start to realize that that's not you. So many people have bought into that lie and that myth. And then there's like the level of anxiety. Obviously, the media pushes like a lot of material that's designed to make you anxious, to make you worried, to make you fearful, all of that. So yeah, I do think in a way you're onto something here. You are onto something, because yeah, in order to be or pursue happiness, right, which is our birthright, at least if you're an American, right? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You do have to kind of step away from the mainstream culture. You can't be indoctrinated by it. And, the more I kind of observe to like, and think more deeply about these things, and kind of the more I kind of step back and I'm in the Word, I do see that you have to really identify people by their fruits. And what that means is like, what feelings are they eliciting in you? What is the spirit of what they're creating? Because there's so many, like, even content creators. I was thinking about this recently. Like, there's this guy on YouTube, and I'm not going to name his name, and I want to call him out, but like, he's a, Christian. But so much of what he posts is like fear mongering. He's got a massive following, but so much of what he posts is like fear mongering, eliciting fear, eliciting worry. Like, that's not the correct path to be on. You know what I mean? That's not good fruit. That's bad fruit. And so like, it kind of, you have to like, you kind of come back and have to like tune things out and kind of really start to observe like, well, what is this eliciting? What feeling is this eliciting out of me? Why is it eliciting that feeling? Like, being curious about it, but also like, the more you step away from all of it, the more you kind of are able to, again, pursue that happiness. But the thing is, about happiness, it isn't guaranteed in life. And I think the pursuit of happiness is kind of an illusion as in and of itself, because happiness is a momentary feeling. And again, feelings, just like your thoughts, they aren't you. And we can't identify with it too much because there's a season for every feeling. You know what I mean? Like, you're happy one day, but what is the source of your happiness? Where does your happiness come from? Where does your joy come from? Like, it has to come from something not of the world, because anything in the world can be taken from you. And it's all temporary. It's all kind of not belonging to you. So like, we can take joy, I guess, we can have those momentary feelings of happiness from the gifts we have in our life. But yeah, I don't know. It's another trap, just pursuing happiness. Like, well, what is real happiness? And is that the pursuit? I think that, again, the real pursuit, okay, is not a feeling. It's a lifestyle. And I think the real pursuit is virtue. It isn't happiness. It isn't any other emotion. It's pursue virtue. Try to be the best person you can be. Try to make the most out of every day. Try to live the best you can each day. And don't worry about how you feel. Because again, that's not you. It never was you. So I don't know, like, again, it's sometimes, I don't know, maybe it's like, I feel like the happiness thing can become like a controlled opposition thing, because, people want to compare their happiness. Like, oh, I'm happy, these people are miserable, and it's like, well, what are you deriving your happiness from? Is it because you have a nice family? Is it because you have these things that are, again, material things? Again, just they can only give you a temporary feeling of happiness. But of course, you should appreciate them, take pride and joy in them, and try to get the most out of them. But yeah, I think, again, it's not about the pursuit of happiness. It's about the pursuit of virtue in terms of like a life best lived. And that means you're going to have bad days. You're going to have good days. You're going to go through the gamut of human emotions. And that's a well-lived life. That is nothing to rebel against any longer, in my opinion. Sorry, Amy. I'm not sure exactly what you're responding to, but like, do you mean like the sadness thing? Yeah, again, I think sadness has its place, you know. I love thing like the macabre, the morose. There's a place for that. There's beauty in it. Like there's a reason why like certain I think sometimes like sadness touches people on a deeper level. I don't know, like it has a place for sure. Sadness is like it's like sugar, you know, to life. It's that little bit of a little bit of it adds sweetness to life because, you know, again, we can't really appreciate things until, you know, we don't really appreciate them unless they actually can elicit that in us. If you can't get sad, okay, let's say you have something in your life, a person, a place, a thing, right? A noun, you know, that you derive so much happiness from, like, it is the grief that comes from losing those things that really determines your level of appreciation for that thing. You know, sometimes we're not really aware of the extent of our love until we have to face grief, you know. So grief, it has a place, you know, all of the negative, quote unquote, emotions. I don't want to even call them negative. Obviously, again, take each day to day and like, you know, regardless of how you're feeling, try to live your best life. But don't try to run away from that. Don't try to like escape from it. Like it's not a prison. The fact that you can feel all of these different feelings is like, you know, what we're meant to do. I think like there is also a artificial happiness culture. And again, like I think the pursuit of happiness, the pursuit of virtue are great things, but not because we're trying to run away from experiencing what is authentic. You know, an authentic life is far better than one that is artificially happy, you know, and how many people are, you know, running away from the darkness and how many people are living in a false positive light, you know. It's because that you see that so much with people that are, you know, can't take any negativity, like they can't handle it, you know, they can't even tolerate conversation about like real life because they're so caught up in that, you know, artificial, you know, fake happiness. It's yeah. There's so much to dissect with that. Good question. I feel like sadness shows what you value. Yeah, definitely. And you know, I mean, the best songs are sad songs, you know. Just put that there, like, you know. Again, it's like it adds a sweet, you know, it adds sweetness to life. Yeah, we can't really. I feel like this culture just wants us to be totally imbalanced about things and constantly running from authentic experiences. But then at the same time, I also feel like the culture wants us to be miserable because obviously so many people are. And you know what? I've been watching really interestedly recently, and there's been a lot of discussion of like marriage and I've seen recently like the mainstream, I don't know if they call them mainstream, but like I follow like some of the Daily Wire conservatives like Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens. I don't really follow Michael Knowles. He's just a little bit, I don't know, too much for me. But yeah, the other ones I do, I follow them occasionally. I'll like, occasionally like watch some of their content. And at least Ben and Matt recently were going off about responding to like the red pill movement's denigration of marriage, and how they try to convince men that marriage is bad for them, and there's so much risk, and men shouldn't get married, all of that. And it's like, we really, that kind of, just say this specifically, I've been thinking about that like red pill movement has really done so much to make men miserable, because obviously like there's the incel movement, but like what's happened is like this echo chamber. And instead of like these men kind of going out in the world and like overcoming and like living life and finding wives and starting families, which is what most of them like want and would actually improve their lives significantly. I mean, because it would. And like, this is the other thing too, like these conversations, they talk like men just, lose out so much if a divorce happens, and no fault, they're arguing against no fault divorce, which is like, I don't think divorce is a great thing. I think it's really a difficult thing, but like I worry about what would happen if we didn't have no fault divorce. I feel like that would be pretty devastating as well in a whole other way, because what things were like before then wasn't good either. So I don't know. I mean, but yeah, they go on, how men, completely forgetting that women also like are usually financially devastated by divorce as well. So many women end up destitute after divorce, and then they're like single mothers if they have kids in the picture. Like these conversations just aren't honest and aren't really talking about like, well, why are so many women filing divorce? And like so often, obviously there's things women can do and women aren't doing well in marriages, but like so often, women file for divorce because of reasons of how their husband is behaving towards them and their family. So I mean, that's not really being addressed with that conversation at all, because of course it's just, but I was thinking about it. I'm going off in a bunch of tangents, but I was like, man, this same conversation and the way it's framed, it's like giving men a victim mentality. And thus that victim mentality is making them, if you have a victim mentality, you will be miserable. You will be miserable because you will never be overcoming your shortcomings. You'll never see them honestly, for one. But I'm like, all of these young men who haven't even been married, who've never even experienced, having a wife, having a family, have these strong opinions and feelings of victimization from an experience they haven't even had. You know what I mean? Like they're listening, they get in these echo chambers and they're listening to these conversations, and they're getting these like perspectives that are totally skewed. And they, for themselves, they feel personally victimized when it's not even happened to them. It's really, so I think like in that whole conversation and seeing them respond to like these like mainstream conservative, I don't know if I want to call them mainstream conservatives, but like the Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh guys, them kind of responding to it. And I also really respected it too, because regardless of like differences that I might have politically with them, like what I do see that is good here is that, they are very serious about the place of the family at the fabric as being like the cornerstone of society. And what we have in this society now is a complete dissolution of that, and there's nothing in its place. There's nothing that's really replaced it. And it's been an interesting conversation to kind of like watch and think of from my own perspective and my own experience. But yeah, just like seeing that and like reading through like the comment sections of these like videos and kind of working it out in my mind, I'm like, yeah, these guys have the same victim mentality that a lot of feminists do, honestly. I don't think people realize how similar these supposed opposites really are, and if people really got together and wanted to overcome it, they would see things more clearly. And there's just this narrative for, regardless of who you are, there's some way that this society is going to try to trap you, make you fearful, make you feel like a victim, make you feel oppressed and marginalized and stepped upon, and try to keep you from living your life and like living a productive life, for one, meaning like having a family, having children, contributing to society, working, building, that kind of thing. So all these people are just like atomized, they're isolated, they're miserable. And for what? And like, I do think, watching this, I'm like, it's so good that these guys are actually promoting the benefits of like having a wife and having a family, because men do benefit so much from it. Like, I couldn't even really like believe some of this. Like, men live longer if they're married. People in general benefit from marriage, just put that out there. Like, people tend to eat better, people tend to have a higher standard of living, just generally, just that kind of system works. But yeah, that people are being kind of led down this path of fear and victimization, false victimization, and because of that, they aren't pursuing that productive life. And it's scary, and it's going to have really bad ramifications in like the coming years. It really will. I think we're going to have like a lot. It's already a problem, but it's going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse. And my prayer is that people would overcome. But I don't think most people really understand that they're in that fallen state, and that they really do need to like overcome all of this identification with the world. Again, like I'm saying, this like worldliness is a problem, because again, they're like they haven't even experienced these things. They haven't even gone through it, but they feel victimized. And as such, they're so identified with that, which isn't even their experience. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the other thing too. Like, I think it's also a part of like growing as a person, as an individual. Like, it's a arrangement, it's put that in, but like, it's something that like calls you to be a bigger person and to overcome your shortcomings for the good of another. Like, and again, like love is something that people associate with, again, the good feelings, the happiness. But love isn't just that. Okay. Love is the nitty gritty. It's the day to day. It's the service in, that people give to one another. It's not a feeling. It's a verb, Again, like, love that. You put that in parentheses. Love is a verb. Okay. That's the other thing. Like, happiness is a feeling, and people want love to be a feeling, and it just isn't. It just isn't, because those feelings that you're feeling are more likely to be rushes of intoxication, infatuation, that kind of thing. That's not what love is. And yeah, it's just unfortunate, because again, I think that pursuit of happiness can get people into a trap with that, like with their marriages as well, because they think that, the marriage is supposed to make you happy, instead of realizing that, life isn't that way. You're not always going to be happy. It really is. It's, but that's people right now, man. People are on that train. People are on this like crazy train. And it's not just the incels going on about like how men are victimized in divorce. Let me tell you, in my book group this year, we read a book called How to Hide Money from Your Husband, and they dealt with the subject of divorce. And let me tell you, women get screwed in divorces. So many men are hiding money from their wives. Most men do hide money from their wives. And when they get divorced, like, a lot of men just clear out the accounts before their wives can get anything. And like, it's very common. It's very common in divorce where like women are left destitute. So like, just hearing all these men whine like, men get screwed and they don't get to see their kids and they end up living in a car. It's like, okay, here's the thing. Small children, 9 times out of 10, belong with their mother. Okay, it's biology. Women nurture children. Okay, so there's that aspect of it. There are circumstances where the mother isn't a suitable, caretaker, but 9 times out of 10, the primary caretaker does need to be the mother. And it's sad in divorce when that happens, but like, I think that's just, I don't think anything's, before, the laws, back in the day, if a woman had to leave her marriage before like women's suffrage, before women's rights, at least in the United States, if a woman left her marriage, she left with the clothes on her back. She didn't have any right to her kids at all. She didn't have any right to anything, any of her assets. So like, things have gotten better. And, they complain that like, a woman will take half of your stuff. It's just like, I don't know. It's very, as if a wife doesn't earn that. It just astounds me. Yeah, that's the thing about it. It's like, the man would not be earning or acquiring that level of assets if he didn't have a wife. That's the other thing about family, having a wife and a family that like is being missed here. It's like, it actually pushes most men to the next level. They become more successful because they have that, because that pushes them. It gives them, the strong foundation where they can excel in, because they have that support system, and they also have other people to work for, pushes them to the next level. A lot of men would not get as far as they do if they didn't have that. So just put that out there. So yeah, the whole conversation is just really weird, but Yeah, prior to the modern divorce laws, women didn't have any rights to anything, and that wasn't good either. And divorce was a lot less common then. So, if a woman was leaving, it was definitely down to reasons of no doubt severe abuse and neglect. And then, of course, the kids get left with someone like that. So that's a problem too. And then, these cases where men fight so often, like the custody battles, they're ugly, but I've seen so many times that men go on these horrible custody battles, just to have control still. And they, a lot of men are really resentful about having to pay anything to or for, a woman that they don't have sexual access to anymore. That's basically what it comes down to. There's that household that they still have some level of responsibility for, where they're not the head and they don't have sexual access to that woman. So it's, it's ugly. But definitely there's, in these kind of conversations, they talked about well, there are ways, before getting into a marriage that you can kind of mitigate risk. Obviously, it is a risk to get married, but it's obviously a risk for both parties. But you can determine what someone's values are before you marry, what their opinions are, what their opinions of divorce are, that kind of thing. It's just, the whole thing is just crazy. That's just been giving me a lot. I've been thinking about that a lot lately, just that conversation and how it's manipulated. So many people are manipulated against their own interests. Because these are, by and large, these men are being held back in life by a false feeling of victimization for something that they haven't even experienced. And hell yeah, it is weird. It is very weird. They go off and I'm like, oh God, this is like some forums. Just reading these comments, it's like, oh, this is reminding me of forums I used to visit, as a feminist, and all of the crazy feelings of victimization that people have about things that they haven't even experienced, and the way they over-identify with experiences they haven't had. Even having a partner makes life easier. But with marriage, you have they have financial incentives, tax breaks with that. So much becomes easier in life with that contract. So, but yeah, and then then the other side of that is well, then what are people doing, and they're often they're not going to get married, but they want to have long-term relationships. So what are they going to do? They're going to shack up? And I don't think that's a good thing to do either, because, well, obviously I have made the mistake of doing it, so I know what a bad idea it is. The couple partners, and let me tell you, never again. Never again will I live with someone I am not married to. That is not a good arrangement, in my opinion. Mhm. Yeah, definitely. You see that so often. Like, it's you have a helpmate. You have someone in your life that is there to help you and assist you, and vice versa. You are able to do more together. So it's yeah, this the whole anti-marriage thing is like really strange, really and it's not just that it's strange, it's dangerous. But yeah, the whole like red pill movement, they see themselves as like countercultural. So we bring up that conversation of like the counterculture again. Like there's so many again anti-human philosophies, communities, cults that you can get sucked into on the internet that, give you a false sense of being aware or like, I get it's like a feeling of superiority that these communities give to people because they feel more aware than others. They have this false sense of being the ones that know, the real truth, and everybody else is brainwashed. But what ends up happening to people that get sucked into these communities is they become atomized, isolated, and miserable, and very easily controlled, and definitely very emotional as well, because like again, they have this perceived feeling of victimization because of their status as belonging to these communities. It's really just troubling to see, honestly. Like, it really is troubling. Just thinking about it, like, from my observation and my own personal experience in the world, having been sucked into it to a degree myself, I don't know, to a degree. Probably, yeah, no, I was more than a degree. But you know what I mean? Like, I've been through it. I've seen other people go through it. What's happening? And it's happening to so many different people and people of so many different perspectives. But what's happening to them all is the same thing. They're all ending up the same way: atomized, isolated, polarized, miserable. And we wonder about the quote unquote mental health crisis or whatever. That's a whole other conversation. The mental health thing is getting on my nerves. The way that just goes on, it's such a inane conversation. People are like so mentally fragile. So mentally fragile. Like, I can't tell you like the number of people, like, because I just think about like when I first entered the workforce, I had so many days where like I wasn't feeling good, or I was unhappy, or I was miserable. Like, it didn't matter. You still have to go clock in and do your job. You still got to go do what you got to do. You still got to meet your responsibilities. But it's like this whole cultural shift is like making people feel entitled to shirk their responsibilities and to not get over themselves. Like, I can't, the number of people having mental health crisis, and then people just say, oh yeah, so and so had a mental health crisis. I'm like, what the hell do you mean they had a mental health crisis? What does that mean? Like, I don't understand. What do you mean? And it turns out like someone was like flipping out, or like what really happened is they had a behavioral incident, a behavioral crisis. Because nobody knows what's going on in your mind apart from you. Although most people don't understand what's going on in their minds regardless. But let's just say this, like, they turn like what are behavioral issues into like mental issues. And yeah, if your mind isn't right, you're going to behave wonky, but at the end of the day, like, it's the behavioral issues that are the problem. It's not so much we're making it into like this mental health discussion, and it's really what's happening is just people aren't getting over themselves. I don't know how else to put it. They're not getting over themselves. They're not realizing that everybody doesn't feel good sometimes, and that you still have to go about your day and do what you need to do. And like, life doesn't stop because you don't feel well, or like, and it's the other thing too, like, it makes it into feeling down. That's the other thing too, like the depression thing. That's one that really gets to me. That's one that really gets to me because like, it'll be the middle of winter. So often, like I've had conversations with people. It's the middle of winter. It's dark. It's gray. It's cold, and then people describe going home from work and having a nap as being a depression nap. I've heard it so many times. They're like, yeah, I was depression napping. I'm like, whoa. Well, you're not depressed. You're tired because it's dark out. It's cold. Your body is working extra hard to keep warm and to work in these conditions. Like, no. You're not. This isn't a mental health issue that you need a nap. Okay? Naps are nice. Little kids take naps. Old people take naps. There's nothing wrong with an adult person who works having a nap. It's not depression. A nap is necessary sometimes. Why are we like turning a nap into depression? Why are you making it out that the fact that you needed a nap is some evidence of like something being wrong with you? I mean, that conversation is just like mental to me. Like, the only mental health issue is the fact that you like believe that. That's nonsense. That your napping is an indication that you're depressed. Sure, if you're in bed all day, don't get out, don't get dressed, don't do anything, then we can say, okay. But if you're going about your life, doing what you need to do, and you have a nap, what's wrong with that? What is wrong with that? Oh, dang. Seth, have a good day at work. Sorry. Breaking in a new pair of Doc Martens. But when they get broken in, though, they're going to be your favorite pair of shoes. So good luck. Oh, thank you, Amy. There is a word I haven't heard enough. That's a good word, neurotic. That's what it is. The real issue is that people are neurotic. But this is the thing with like the whole modern mental health and like therapy talk. People don't really know what's going on because real analysis isn't happening. Real analysts, like people who are trained psychologically to look at and study your behavior and your thinking patterns and diagnose, that's not really what's happening here. With so much of what people are going through. Like, the reality is most people are just neurotic. Most of these people anyway are neurotic. They're not dealing with anything else. Okay. It's an issue of psychology, not of, again, mental health. It's an issue of your psychology and your behavior. And it's something that can be overcome. That's the other thing too. The way that this culture kind of frames and discusses these things, it's all meant to disempower people. If there's a way out of your, craziness. Well, what happens there? What happens then? Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too. There are people who have, I don't know about like mental illness. I don't really like that term, but there are people who are facing like real like breakdowns, real episodes, and who need like real assistance. That's a real thing. But again, a lot of what it is that people just don't want to get over themselves or like stop. Yeah. I think too, a lot of people feel that their pain is special, or that the fact that they've suffered makes them special. And they're in for a rude awakening when they come to realize that it's not something that is just their experience, but part of the general human experience. Isn't that light bright? So much light coming in. It's so funny because it's bright on the camera, but like the sun isn't even positioned anywhere coming in directly. It is not coming in directly. We'll just say that about the light here in the background. The sun is like over there. My window is over here, so it's been quite an experience seeing how much light comes through, even though when I look outside, it's like, yeah, if I go out there, am I even going to be able to get any sun? I don't know. So drinking about half of this cold brew. It is strong. Ooh, it is strong. I had a feeling it would be because I put a little bit too much coffee in when I made it, honestly. But I was just like, oh, I want to get rid of it. So let's just brew it all. But definitely strong. Yeah, I don't even remember how I got on the last topic. Maybe again, it was just, so many avenues in this culture for people to end up totally lost and miserable. So really pay attention to the way what you're hearing makes you feel. And, ask questions about it, like if I follow this belief system, if I accept these assertions about reality, will my life be better or worse? Because that's the thing. I see so many like people just believe the most disempowering, the most like unhelpful, irrelevant things, and they just accept it as true, and it's like they're completely disabling themselves. Yeah, like disabling themselves. Like they're purposely disabling themselves by just choosing to believe things that, are not true, for one, and also like give them no hope. And it's like, you're suffering in your mind so much more than you need to be. You're taking this tool that you've been given, this mind, and you're letting it cripple you before you've even tried to live your life. And it's a shame. If you even say the word neurotic publicly, you suffer the possibility of being crucified on the PC cross. Is it not politically correct to use that term? I guess it isn't, because I don't hear it enough. But it's a real thing. Neurosis is a real thing. Neurotics are like, so many people are neurotic. It's a real thing. I think, it's so funny because like we live in a culture that is so obsessed with like therapy and that kind of thing. But I guess it's funny to me because like Freud like is totally taboo. And not taboo, well, yeah, kind of, but like reading and understanding his work and like what he posited, most people don't understand it, and they make stupid jokes about like daddy issues and stuff like that. They don't really have an understanding of the work he did or like what he wrote and what he did in the lives of his patients. And because of that, we have this like industry and modern therapeutic approach that is divorced from understanding real psychology. And even if you try to go back and like actually get to the roots, which would be like his work in some sense, like it's not politically correct. It's taboo. It's like, oh, that's really, you ever notice that like if you go to the heart, get to the roots, study the old white men, study those great old white men who actually were great. That's a whole other topic, but who actually were really brilliant and knew what the hell they were doing and like had amazing breakthroughs and changed society radically. If you actually like study their work and understand it and apply it, like that's taboo. And the thing is, like, an understanding of neurosis is helpful because if you have that and you see it in people, like, and they learn to see it in themselves, it can be overcome. It's like you can't recognize that you have this pattern of behavior unless it's made clear. But you know what? The thing about it though is like people in that state again are easily manipulatable. I feel like I am saying words wrong, but they're easily manipulated. They are, and as such, they constitute a community that can be turned into a very avid consumer. I think that's really, get down to the basics of it. Why cure neurosis? You wouldn't want to, because people who are neurotic are so easily going to be turned into a consumer. You can sell them thing after thing after thing to try to deal with, what is, a pattern of thinking and behaving that needs to be interrupted. Oh, you want to see my drawing? This is where it's at so far. I've been working on it for a long time. So I thought, it's a nice day and I don't have any like social plans. So I thought I'd come on live and draw for a while, but yeah, I end up talking and getting distracted with that. So this is it so far. I think I'm going back and forth with this one, like of liking it and then disliking it, then liking it again. But I feel like it's going to turn out pretty cool when it's all done. But if I give enough time to it, I think it'll be completed within the next week, which is exciting. But yeah, there's orange. I think too that's part of it is like a transitional piece. I find like during this different seasons, I tend to bring out certain colors. So this one definitely has a kind of fall motif with the colors. Is anyone here, any other artists here doing Inktober? I only did Inktober like 1 year, but I never could really commit to it. And then like the way I construct my art, like I don't know, like for me it's I'd rather spend my time working on my big pieces than, doing a daily sketch. Even though I think it might be a good practice and could get me out of like ruts or kind of bring out new ideas, because sometimes I get bored of my style, or like, you get bored of like your work that you're doing, or you see that you're kind of repeating patterns or motifs, and it's like, I'd really like to do something a little bit different or exciting. So I think those challenges can help you get out of those ruts and do something different. Mason jar. Liberal urban elitists in our damn mason jars. It just tastes better from a mason jar. It just tastes better when it comes out of a mason jar. It's that wide mouth. Oh, there's some sirens outside. Sounds like might see a fire truck go by. We will see. Doesn't seem to be any disruption of the traffic on this street, so maybe it's might be going down the other block, because that block up there is where there's some excuse me, where there's some assisted living facilities. So yeah, the pen I'm using right now is gel ink ballpoint pen cap type. It's a Muji pen from Muji, my favorite. I know they got Muji in New York City. We have them here too. Actually, we're the only one left on the West Coast. Apparently, the Muji in San Francisco closed. So I love Muji. I'm so glad they're still here, because I remember they had before they opened up, they had this little flagship store that they opened briefly, and it was on my way. It was like on my route back from work, and I went in there and I saw the pens, and I bought a couple of them, as well as like one of the pads. And I swear, finding these pens, it got me back into drawing again. Like years ago when they had that store open, I was like, fell in love. I love their stationery and many of their other things. They always have good deals on socks. You can get like 3 pairs of nice, stylish socks, different colors, nice materials. For like, you get 3 pairs for $12, which is a pretty good deal for, the kind of socks they are. And they have like striped ones and like solid colors. And so I'm very happy with my products from Muji. They've got all kinds of things. They've got nice household items, clothing, beauty products, like the cotton pads I use for like removing my nail polish, I get from there. And then also I've gotten sponges from there, like the little beauty sponges. So I've been using these for, this one here has some paint on it, but I've used these little sponges for doing my nails, because I've done a couple of like ombre looks. A few weeks back I had pink nails, and then I put this kind of like reddish orange ombre effect on the end, and then like a glitter top coat over it. It looked bomb. And these are my nails right now, which I just got a hair here, which I am just digging my little autumn colors. I did them all like different kind of colors, but I think they look really good together. Yeah, that's the thing. Oil is so fun to work with, but yeah, and then acrylic, it's like quick, but I don't know. I don't really like painting with acrylic too much. Oh, what's this? Oh yeah, okay. I had a notification from YouTube. Nothing too interesting, but somebody liked my comment. Yeah, Muji, they're a Japanese like department store. So they've got all kinds of household products. They have like bedding. They have I have right here, this is from Muji. It's here on the floor, but it's like organizational stuff. So this is just a little, what is it called? A file box, I think I'm going to get a few more of these actually for over here, because I have like different. So I've been putting like my art in here. I've got some art pieces, some journals. They have stationery, and like their pens though are like what I really love. Their pens are just, they're a nice gel ink. They have different what's the word I'm looking for? Widths is what comes to mind, but that's not the technical term. But this is a 0.7, and then they have like 0.5, 0.3, 0.25 even for like widths of the ink that comes out. So the 0.7s are nice for like big pieces like this. And but I've enjoyed using all the different Now I'm wanting to say gauge. I don't know what the technical term is, for the width of the ink as it comes out. But yeah, I draw with gel pens generally speaking. So most of my art is done with, almost, yeah, all of it is done with gel pen. Pretty much. Markers and gel pens. Not that I'm, not open to using other mediums, but I just find that right now this is what works for me. I'm creating really interesting pieces with these mediums, and I'm enjoying what I'm creating, so it works. But yeah, Muji, they've got stationery. They even have some like food items. And some of the things really are good bargains, like the pens, the stationery you get good deals and stuff like that. Things like essential items like socks. They have like clothing, bags. I have like a duvet cover that I got from them. So many things, so many like just little practical, very simple things too. Like nothing has labels. That's the other thing too, because it's like it's this department store, but nothing is labeled. So like all the clothing is label free, and it's very cute. It's like, the style is kind of like Japanese urban style. So there's a lot of different interesting things that you can pick up there. My favorite turtleneck I got there, it's like a striped black and white turtleneck. So yeah, they have some nice pieces. I've had some pieces of clothing I got there that was kind of like, didn't end up working, but most of what I've gotten from Muji has been excellent. And now I kind of know what to look for in terms of things, when I shop there, like, okay, this material I know is going to shrink, but most of it is like nice quality, very kind of classic colors, tans, blues, blacks, stripes, solids, and very, neutral, but, sophisticated as well at the same time. Yeah, they're very cool. I love Muji. I appreciate having them in town. I really do. And they seem to be doing well here. Like every time I go in, I haven't really visited on a weekday in a long time though. So I don't know, maybe. Although actually the last time I did on a weekday, it was like a Friday and they were pretty busy Friday afternoon. But they seem to be doing well. But yeah, I think their San Francisco store closed. So it's too bad. The last time I was in Manhattan, they had a store there, yeah. And they also had one in the airport. What is that airport? JFK. They had a little flagship Muji at JFK where you could get like some things. I think I got some pens while I was there too, because I was like, oh, Muji. And you know what? That was the day that I saw Danny Glover at the airport. I was sitting at the terminal. I was like very early that day. And yeah, I was at this terminal, and then they ended up moving the terminal. So I ended up having to like go off to a different one. But yeah, I was sitting at this terminal, just kind of like, I think charging my phone. I think it might have been on my laptop, and I looked up and there he was, and I didn't really, I recognized him, and he like nodded at me, and I was like, I nodded back. And I didn't say anything to him. He didn't say anything to me. It was just a funny moment. I was like, oh. Yeah, I don't know if they still, last time I was in Manhattan, they were there, but that was pre-pandemic. So I want to look it up now too. Muji USA locations. Muji Portland. Yeah, they have one. Oh, looks like they might have more than one in New York. They've got so many. Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, they have one in Soho. They have one in Times Square, one in Chelsea, one in Cooper Square, one on Fifth Avenue, one on Williamsburg. They have one in Williamsburg? Shut the front door. Okay, they have one in Boston. Okay. Oh, they even have one in 59th Street, Hudson Yards. They have some in Canada too. It looks like in Ontario. They have two in Toronto, one in Mississauga, one in Markham, and one in Scarborough. And then Portland, Oregon. Yeah, baby. They're only open till 6. I guess that makes sense. But yeah, they've got quite a few. They've got quite a few in New York. So that's exciting. But yeah, we're the only one left on the West Coast, unfortunately. But just another reason why Portland has it going on. Oh. So yeah. Yeah, Donald, that's right. And in those suburbs, there are Muji stores where you can go and get your Muji gel pens. So you can be like Terry Strange and pick up some socks, three for $12. Although I don't know how much they would be in Canada. I'm sure they'll charge more because, yeah, that's how it is. They do tend to charge more in Canada. Although, I don't know, I've only really went shopping in Vancouver, so I don't know what it's like in the rest of the country, but I've been able to get some good deals. And, with the exchange rate, like, I tend to make out well when I go shopping in Canada. Like, I tend to like find some good deals, but I also think I have a little bit of luck. I don't know. I'm just like good at like finding things that are cool sometimes, and like, but I also just think the exchange rate, like, because of being an American, like, it is expensive in Canada, but like, again, the American dollar is worth more. So when you factor that in, I tend to like save money. Yeah, baby, Danny Glover. I was sharing on another person's stream, Paul Pate's stream this morning, about how I met Maurice White. I've met all of Earth, Wind, and Fire because I served them a couple of times when they were in town touring. So like, the first time I served their members, like, it was like late at night. I was kind of closing the store, and like one of them came in and it just talking to him about his day, what are you up to? And he's like, oh, I'm a musician, I'm on tour. And I was like, oh, yeah, what are you doing? Like, what? And he's like, oh, I'm with this group. Like, you might have heard of them. He's like, you might not have heard of them. It's Earth, Wind, and Fire. I was like, oh my God. I don't, like, I didn't recognize the guy. But I was like, yeah, I definitely have heard of them. But then a few years later, all of the members came into the store. And I was actually working on register, and I got to bring up Maurice White, which was pretty dope. And I was like, how are you today? Or how's your day going? And yeah, he was like, he flashed me this like big smile, like he just stopped and he was like, big smile, and he's like, my day is wonderful. How is yours? Oh, rest in peace. But yeah, that was one of the few moments, like, didn't usually, I mean, I've served a number of famous people because I'm working at that like one location, because we were in between two hotels where like all of the basketball players would stay when they would be in town. So I've served pretty much every basketball team except the Trailblazers, because obviously they live in town. So they're not gonna, come in. But that was pretty cool. I met some like pretty famous basketball players and made them their little drinks. And then, yeah, a lot of touring bands would be staying at the hotel, like on the other side of the block. So there was one that was like diagonal from us, and then there was one behind us. So those people would come in, and that's where a lot of like the touring bands would come from. So served a number of touring bands, although Earth, Wind, and Fire was the only one that was like, I cared about it all. The rest of them was kind of like, no one to get too starstruck about. Although I will say, Good Charlotte, they were in town for like ever. I don't know if they were just hanging out or whatever, but they were coming into our store, the members, individually and as a group, every freaking day for like at least a week. It was wild. And I even got some of their orders like down because they came in and just got the same thing over and over again. But I think, that's what it's like. That's what people are like. People want what they want, and most people get the same thing. But when it's like, okay, your drink is the same, but you get the same food item too, that's a little weird, I feel. Like, you want to eat that every day, maybe multiple times a day, okay, whatever. No judgment. You like what you like. And maybe it's just, a comfort thing too. Like, I guess if you're like on tour, you're not at home, like maybe just having the same food is a way of like, I don't know, maybe feeling comfort or having something to cling to. I don't know. Because it is an emotional thing for people, the food and whatnot. Heck yeah, you're going to go and peruse. Yeah, I love Muji. I think you'll definitely find it's hard to go into Muji and not buy something, because everything they have is just so practical. Like, they're just so many and nice, and it's just, yeah, I like what they've got. Just say that. I like what they've got. And most of the time, if you're out and about, it's not too hard to drag a friend into Muji. But I'm like, every time somebody wants to go in, I'm like, okay, all right. I wasn't planning to spend some money today, but we're gonna, yeah. Oh, here's because I do my nails right here. These are I'm gonna have to go into Muji soon, because look, I'm low on cotton. But like, these are really nice. Like, how much does this cost? They have it listed usually on it. And I guess it doesn't say, but like this full thing of these nice thick cotton pads, it's like less than $5. And they have like, so they have all kinds of like little things like that, like beauty things. They have really nice products too. Like they have stuff for like sensitive skin. So they'll have like nice moisturizers and cleansers, things like that. And then they have organizational and cleaning systems. So they have these, they have this like really simple broom mop thing that you can just like twist on and twist off, turn into a mop, turn into a broom, like, and then it fits into this dustpan. I don't know. It's like a pretty simple system. And they have like just all manner of things, They have planners, which are pretty decent. And they also have like stamps. And you know what else they have? They have like embroidery. They do embroidery. So you can buy your items and then get them embroidered there with different designs. So they have like, at least at my local store, they have like a book of different designs you can have put on it. So let's say you get like a canvas tote that's like plain. You could get something embroidered on it, or like a t-shirt from them. You could get like something embroidered on it. It's actually really nice. That's pretty rad. You met Keith Richards. I've never met Keith Richards. That's like really famous. That is really, really famous. Oh my goodness. I love the smell of patchouli. Patchouli and cigarettes. Oof. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I know. Like New Yorkers don't tend to gush. I saw this really funny it was like a TikTok or a short video or something, but it was like of Jared Leto, and it was titled something like how people from Los Angeles react to meeting famous people. And so this girl was sitting there, like, she gets introduced to him and she's just like pretending she doesn't know who he is, pretending that she doesn't know how to say his name. Jared what? And so she like, I don't remember exactly how she mispronounced his name. So she like mispronounces his name back to him. And then like just kind of asked him about his like career a little bit. And so he, says some things he's been in, and she's like, oh, okay, just pretending like she doesn't know who he is, that she does she's never heard of him. And then like when they like say goodbye to one another, she's like, good luck with everything. It was like a very funny little skit, I thought, because it was so real. But yeah, you don't tend to gush over people when you're used to seeing famous people regularly. You don't gush over them as much. But depending on where you are and where you're from and what's going on, like, yeah, I don't think I've ever gushed over anyone. Have I ever fangirled over anyone? Gushing a little bit, maybe a little bit. But that was like, like very insular, like not like super famous person, but like famous in a small niche community kind of way person a little bit. I've definitely had people do it to me where they come up and they're like weird and starstruck. And I'm like, I'm just Terry Strange. I'm no big deal. Although in retrospect, maybe I kind of am. I feel like I didn't have awareness about that in the past, but definitely it's important to be wary of people that just approach you and like want to get to know you, because definitely I've had some really weird experiences with people who were fans, you know what I mean? For lack of a better word. Like, because I don't see it that way, because I just see, like, I'm just a normal person. Da, 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 da. And then, you know, as I've kind of lived my life, I've started to see, like, oh, maybe I'm not just a normal person. Maybe there is something special about me. But yeah, definitely you got to be a little bit wary. And now I'm a lot more kind of wary of meeting people, and not, I mean, I still do, but you know, I still meet up with people, but I used to be like, oh yeah, I'll meet up with anyone, and you know, let people approach me and let them kind of just kind of take up my time and let them in, I guess, for lack of a better word, definitely like as friends or whatever, when I should have been more cautious and wary that like people don't, when you're someone in a certain context and you have some like fame or notoriety or you know whatever, yeah, not everybody is good intentioned, and not everybody wants to interact with you for the right reasons. Like sometimes people are trying to get something out of you, or kind of finagle some sort of situation with you, or and definitely that was a lesson learned hard, unfortunately. But yeah, now I'm like a lot more wary. Like, although I'm less likely to put myself in situations now, like than I was years ago. Like, I'm far less likely to want to go to anything or meet people or like network in. And I don't really, you know, I don't really associate with the same communities or identify with the same types of people. So I don't think that's going to come up, but who knows? It was a lesson learned, and definitely I am a lot more protective of myself now just because of my experiences, because like just being too open is pretty dangerous. Like, honestly, it can be pretty dangerous. But that's cool. You met Keith Richards. Yeah. I never met anyone like Keith. No one that famous. I don't know. I did meet Shaquille O'Neal. That was pretty big. Dude is huge. And you know who else? Like, I met basketball players, Yao Ming. I served him, and my coworker went on break. Okay, so she went on break. I was alone. And this guy, he walks up to the store, he bends over to get in the door, and he like gets up and he walks up, and this massive dude, like I don't even know how tall Yao Ming is. I could have to look it up, but the guy is huge. It's just me and him, and he like orders a small mocha. And like, so I ring him up, like, go and make it. And then, like, when I handed it to him, he went to grab it, and like his whole hand was like way bigger than his little tiny drink. And it was just like such a moment. And then he bent over and like to get out of the store. I was like, whoa, what an experience. Dude is so tall. So I think that was just apart from like, even if he hadn't been like this like famous basketball player, just to see someone that tall and to interact with them was like an experience in and of itself. And I'm like, you know, I'm not hugely tall. I'm 5'8", so I'm tall for a lady. But yeah, that was just like unreal. I was like, you are so big. You are such a big person. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm odd that he's clean now and still alive. Yeah, I mean, it's good. I mean, yeah. I assume he probably has, he's been able to take pretty good care of himself over the years. He's probably had a lot of access to good care and a good lifestyle. So hopefully he's with us for more years. Good old Keith. The Rolling Stones. But yeah, I would be freaked out if I met him too. It's like one of those like really really big people where you're like, "Oh my god. Who even is I can't believe." Yeah, those starstruck moments are sweet when you can actually get starstruck because not every famous person you meet is going to like have that effect on you. Especially if you're like used to it, like it kind of becomes mundane, but like every now and then someone is like such a big deal or just like on such another level. Oof. Let's see. There we go. Be careful, Terry. Oh no. I'm a lot more careful now. I should have been more when I was younger, but I think, too, I was just like I was such a what's the word? Such a true believer, I guess, for lack of a better term. Like I was so invested in like my politics and making things happen and using whatever I had to like whatever celebrity I had to make things happen and lend support and that kind of thing. It was just my impulse because I was so genuinely wanting to make a difference. And I think, that's kind of, I think that's also part of why I got so jaded too. And like, I mean, you have to be a real believer. You have to be a real true believer to end up jaded, I think. Because you don't there you can kind of like fall away from things, but when you become like genuinely jaded, like it tends to be because you were really invested. So yeah, it's a difficult thing to go through. And let's see. Yeah, it's just amazing. Yeah, so many of them are huge, like massive dude, like these, and they're incredible. And like, I think athletes in general are pretty incredible just to interact with. I think also I just don't have that in me. I never was very athletic, even when I did do some sports. Like I never really took to anything very well. So to actually interact with people who are so fine tuned and in shape in such a specific way, like it's really fascinating. It's very impressive, you know, regardless of the sport. But yeah, basketball players are something else because they're usually like tall and lean and just, although some of them aren't, actually, surprisingly. Some of them aren't. Some of them are kind of, I don't want to say average size, but they'll be like tall, but not like extremely tall. But some of them are very tall, and it's quite impressive. I saw a funny meme today of it was like a tiny little woman next to a guy, and she's like saying to him, like he's towering over her, and she's like, sorry, I only date guys who are 6 foot and taller. And like he's like, I'm 5'7", and he's like towering over her. And yeah, it was funny to me, but I left a comment on it. I was just like, well, that makes sense because she wants to give her kids, any possible children, a chance of not being cursed with her level of shortness. So if you're so short that a 5'7" guy is towering over you, like you probably would want to get someone tall just so that the next generation has a chance. But of course, again, yeah, in the comment section, there were a lot of guys feeling victimized because, they're not tall and and it's just like, I don't know. Do women really care about that? I mean, I know some do. Like, and if you're extremely short, I understand why you might, because you're like, we are not passing this on to the next generation. Oh, have fun at the airport. The airport. I love what you were doing before, and I thought differently. Well, thank you. I mean, one thing to be said for my content, regardless of whether you agreed with it or not, it was thought provoking. I definitely did go on some interesting thought processes, and honestly, like there's some of it I don't like. Maybe I don't agree with it anymore, but like in terms of like understanding and rationalization and that kind of thing, I definitely was on something, you know what I mean? Like I had my stuff down. So, but oh well. Oh well. I am good now though. I feel much better about what I have going on and how I'm thinking and feeling about life. Oh. Have a little stretch, I think, here. 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh. Oh. Oof. 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 Okay. See, I've been doing my little what do I even call them? My little red balls. So who else is here? Amy's been talking most of the time. I don't know who else is watching, but Say hi. Hmm. It's 2:09. Okay. I have been working on this drawing for a while now that I think about it. This is my last drawing. I did not like where it was going, so I just kind of like, I was like, I'm done with this. That doesn't happen too often. Usually I'm able to salvage it, but then I was looking at it, I was like, I was not happy with where that was going, how it was looking. Excuse me. So yeah, sometimes when that happens, I just give up because I'm like, in some ways it was interesting because I did a few things and like experimented with a few things on it. So they may be incorporated into another drawing in the future. But yeah, the drawing itself, like I was not happy with how it was turning out. And so I gave up on it. And sometimes that's the best thing to do. So you can like move on with your life, you know. I am planning going to be kind of an interesting live stream soon where I'm going to kind of do a presentation style of something, but I wanted to look through some old photographs that I came across earlier this year and talk about them. And I think in the meantime, if I get a chance, I might go, when I go out, snap some pictures of some older buildings in the area because I want to talk about them. So that's something to look forward to here on the Terry Strange channel. We'll see. I might not snap any photos. I might just look to see if I can find pictures of the buildings online to kind of show what I'm talking about, but it should be interesting. I'm kind of formulating that in my mind, how to talk about it. Yeah. What a day. Nice. Interesting. The light is still very bright. Eventually, the sun's going to be coming over more on this side. So I'm wondering, is it going to get even brighter? I don't know. We shall see. We shall see. Okay, I'm liking how that's looking, and I think do a little more on here. And then I think I want to work on the outer parts of this a little bit. Oh. You know what? The chat's not moving, so why don't I bring something else up maybe to watch and respond to? Excuse me while I play around with this thing. Okay, interesting. Let's see what we have here. David Rovics has a video. We could watch that, a statement of principles. I think that might be interesting. I'll pull that up here. Let's see. Oh my goodness. How do I get out of here? Hold up. I'm still learning this system, so bear with me, those watching. I am trying to figure out how to share something, so hold up. What the heck is this? COVID map. Oh man, not the C word. They found a new home for a Christopher Columbus statue. That's nice. I don't know. I'm not really against Columbus Day. I don't know. I want to figure out how to share this screen. Is that it? Okay, so share. Okay, so here it is. This is David Rovics.
statement of principles.
Hold up.
Is the left
For some reason, I can't hear it. I think it's because yeah, sometimes when I plug in my microphone, the speakers don't work properly. So, all right.
mainly a bunch of censorship happy, empire supporting, virtue signaling clowns? Or is it just or is that just the impression we get from social media? You can find this in written form at davidrovics.com/principles. What gets called the left in US society and others is a contradictory and confusing phenomenon. People who identify their political orientation with words like anarchism, communism, socialism, social democracy may support exclusive and even authoritarian policies and organizing tactics, while others identifying with supposedly the same ideologies engage in inclusive forms of organizing and support things like open discourse and free expression. What gets called the left may include people involved with organizing workers, tenants, or members of other communities of people to stand up against the nefarious plans of the capitalists. But it also will tend to include a lot of people engaged in grandstanding, showboating, virtue signaling, and cancellation campaigning on corporate social media platforms. Who are the people that believe in and maybe even engaged who are the people that believe in and are maybe even engaged in effective organizing? And who are the ones throwing virtual bombs into every space where such organizing is trying to happen? The corporate advertisers and political dividers know who we all are, but we don't know each other. If you agree with the basic orientation represented by the 10 no brainer points below and you'd like to put your name to a public statement to that effect, email me at david@davidrovics.com with your name and any other relevant info to put along with it, such as your occupation or organization you may represent. When we've got a good collection of names, we'll add them to this statement and publish it in other places. In case it's not abundantly obvious already, if you have come to agree with these points only very recently and up until last month you were acting like a horrible troll on Twitter, you're just as beautiful a human being and we want you. Also, if you're generally in support of these points but have suggestions for improving the presentation or content of them, or if you have profound disagreements with any of them that you might like to tell me about in an email, I'm interested in those emails too. 1. We embrace organizing for a purpose and reject showboating and performative virtue signaling. Organizing is about building networks, finding common ground, establishing common goals. Posting about who is pure enough for you to have contact with and who isn't has nothing to do with organizing and much better serves the purpose of disorganizing. 2. We embrace real justice and reject anonymous attacks intended to smear people. Although people may commit terrible offenses and holding people accountable for their behavior may be very important, anonymous attacks, smear campaigns, and vigilante justice is a terrible way to seek justice or accountability and is a perfect tool for use by nefarious actors, especially when broadly accepted by a knee-jerk believe the victim no matter what mentality that has been instilled in much of the population. 3. We embrace diversity and we reject identitarianism. Diversity of all kinds in society is a wonderful thing to be celebrated, not just tolerated. And that has nothing to do with the tokenistic oppression Olympics that has taken over left discourse. We must not let our diversity get used against us like this, as a tool for divide and conquer, as a means of getting us all to squabble over crumbs dropped from the tables of the billionaires. 4. We embrace free discourse and reject no platforming. No platforming is a long-standing, inherently authoritarian tendency rife in certain areas of the left over the past century or so, in modern times more known by variations to the theme, such as cancellation campaigning or cancel culture. It is a sort of grassroots form of censorship. It has consistently backfired everywhere from a purely pragmatic standpoint. It's a tactic easily exploited by nefarious actors, and it's morally repugnant for anyone who believes in free speech. 5. We embrace free expression while rejecting corporate control. Freedom of speech is not some bourgeois idea that we should throw out along with imperialism. Freedom of speech is a radical concept that we embrace as the thing that is obviously preferable to the alternative, censorship. We don't want to kick anyone off of any platform for having the wrong opinions. But this is not an endorsement of big tech or their plans for world domination. Their monopolistic practices and conflict-producing algorithms need to be exposed and opposed, but not by making the whole situation worse by calling for people or outlets to be banned from platforms. 6. We embrace being the media and reject censorship campaigns. The fact that a handful of gigantic corporations control our means of communication and most of the news we consume is a terrifying fact. We need to do a lot about that by taking on these corporations and the governments that facilitate them in all kinds of ways, but not by passing laws allowing governments to censor or throttle content on social media platforms or anywhere else on the internet. 7. We embrace finding common ground and reject efforts to polarize, divide, and cancel. The main point in talking about things that divide us is not to make some people feel guilty and others feel virtuous. The point is to find ways to work together to achieve common goals, despite these divides, and perhaps even to overcome these divides in that process. This is very different from forming subgroups within subgroups in order to further highlight divisions within divisions for no apparent purpose aside from claiming some amorphous form of higher ground. 8. We embrace communication and education and reject harassment, vilification, doxing, and other personal attacks. Nobody learns from being attacked and harassed. In fact, attacking and harassing people tends to make them angry and cause them to become more entrenched in their feelings or positions. How did the notion become so widespread that harassing and vilifying right-wingers or other people you don't like is useful in any possible way? It's not. It's the opposite, in fact. It's completely counterproductive. We need to find common ground, build bridges, understand how we're being used, not shout at each other, either online or downtown. 9. We embrace real organizing and reject word policing and other forms of elitism. Real, effective, useful organizing means diverse people working together to achieve common goals, such as organizing a union at a workplace to collectively demand higher wages or organizing tenants into a tenant union to collectively demand lower rent. Any such group will inherently involve people with all kinds of differences. In order for a group to function, it can't have some kind of vetting process where anyone getting involved has to know all the right vocabulary words to use in order not to offend the modern liberal. This is not the way forward. Popular education does not occur in the process of calling people out for using the wrong pronoun or acronym. 10. We embrace differences of viewpoints and reject ostracizing people who don't share ours. Yes, we can actually form a union with millions of people all calling for the same demands, even though they have different views on who killed Jesus, who invaded Ukraine, who should or shouldn't get an abortion, whether there should ever be drag shows at their local libraries, and all kinds of other vitally important issues. And in fact, this kind of coalition is the only way anything useful ever happens anywhere. Opposing such coalitions on the basis of someone or some group within it having the wrong views on something is a means of dividing and conquering unions, not a way to build anything, and not a way to win hearts and minds of all those whose hearts and minds we, and hopefully not the capitalists and imperialists hell-bent on global domination, need to win.
All right. Well, that was interesting. I don't know. Wonder if I should sign it. Sign his statement. I mean, yeah, obviously. But I don't know. I think my organizing days are over personally. I don't have the energy for it, honestly. And I admire people who do, but it's just, for me personally, it's too much cost, And I think that's important to consider with it. Like, count the cost of what is it costing you, because I just know that in my past with it, I gave too much and got too little, and it drained me. It really did. Drained me, made me sicker, made me more miserable. And it's so easy to get caught up in that kind of collective mindset when you're doing that kind of work, or you're like organizing all the time. Like, you stop thinking about your own needs as an individual and you start putting the group above that. And that's a dangerous place for, a person to be in. It's not a good thing, especially like, yeah, you really have to count the cost, because most of the time, like, just as he was describing, these people won't have your back anyway, they can't wait for you to mess up and say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing. And it's unfortunate. So let's see what other content is out there today. Let's see if there's any other videos worth watching in my subscriptions. And by worth watching, I mean worth sharing here on this stream with you all. Nope. Oh, that was an interesting video, but I don't think I want to share that here. Interesting. Okay. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not really seeing much to respond to. There was a Matt Walsh video that I might share. Why don't I share it since I'm just sitting here anyway? I will share it with the group. Okay, so let's see. So let me pull it up here. Rude. And yeah, let me know if everything comes through in the video because I want to make sure. Oh yeah, I'm doing the wrong thing here. I want to make sure as I'm doing it that so yeah, let me know that the sound comes through, guys.
From the Daily Mail, it says female job seekers at a Women in Tech conference have reacted with fury after a number of men crashed the networking event, seemingly taking advantage of the acceptance of non-binary people. The scandal erupted at the Grace Hopper celebration of women in computing in Orlando, Florida, which is among the most lucrative job-finding conventions for young female professionals to meet major tech firms, often right out of college. This year's summit, held from September 26th to 29th, was swarmed with men also looking to land a big interview with firms including Amazon, Apple, and Google. The reason many were welcomed appeared to be the women's event allowing non-binary individuals to also attend, sparking anger among women, feeling the move was a shameless attempt to take advantage of gender diversity programs. Furious attendees took to social media to slam the men for gate crashing the women's event. However, some pointed the finger at vague benchmarks for entering the summit, as men could simply identify as non-binary. So there's a lot of outrage about this on the internet. It was all quite hilarious. Here's a report from an outlet called Catch Up News, which shows us some of the women who were not so pleased about this.
Career conference for females in tech was taken over by male attendees.
They were there just purely for the career fair.
Social media clips filmed at the Grace Hopper, the world's largest gathering of women technologists, show men standing in line to meet with recruiters.
This is a space for women in tech. This is one of those few limited resources that isn't for you, it's for us.
Some of the male attendees reportedly lied about being non-binary just to get in.
But it's interesting that the large majority of the people that actually ended up in the event had name tags.
How do you determine whether or not somebody is non-binary or not? How do you determine that they're lying about that or not? I don't understand that. What the hell are they talking about? These men lied. Non-binary is such a non-meaningful term that anybody could opt into it because there's no such thing as a binary person. Every human being has masculine and feminine traits. So, I mean, just want to insert that there. Like, what the heck?
He, him, and have no searchable history of identifying as non-binary.
Several tech workers defended the men for trying to capitalize on job opportunities not meant for them, saying that the entire concept was wrong.
This is juicy.
Let's be honest, there is no need for a conference just for women, because if it was the opposite, just for men, then it would be sexist. Just because you are a woman doesn't give you the right to talk to a big firm recruiter. Guys work just as hard and they don't get that chance.
No searchable history of identifying as non-binary. What do you mean? What searchable history? Have you been identifying every single one of these guys, and or not guys? They don't identify as guys. Have you been identifying every single one of these they thems and then going online to search to find out exactly when they started identifying as non-binary? If you are, then you're a creep. But also, that's highly bigoted, because first of all, if someone decided this morning that they're non-binary, that is a totally valid identity.
That's right.
And also, there's no rules in the non-binary rule book, last I checked, that says that if you're non-binary, you have to go by they, them pronouns. You go by he, him pronouns. You could go by any pronoun. You could use no pronouns. You could make up a pronoun. These are the rules. The rules are that there are no rules. And we'll talk more about that in a second. But we should also note that I think it's the title is Chief Impact Officer, I believe. A guy named Cullen White was at the event, and he actually at some point the invasion of non-binary men got to a point where it was a real crisis at the event. So the Chief Impact Officer stood up and called out the men from the stage. Let's watch some of that.
This is supposed to be a joyous event that centers around you. Yesterday, it became clear that there are a far greater number of cisgender men attending than we anticipated. Simply put, some of you lied about your gender identity when you registered. And as evidenced by the stacks and stacks of resumes you're passing out, you did so because you thought that you could come here and take space to try to get a job. We need male allies. We need men who want to celebrate women, who want to work with and for women. And so,
The smug, I can't with the
so we welcome men these days, but to learn and support and improve.
Let's pause it. Needless to say, first of all, I am deeply inspired by what these heroic non-binary men have done, breaking down barriers, crashing through
Me too,
glass
dude.
ceilings, and to see the bigotry that they encountered, to be called out from the stage. And when I think about how deeply otherizing and marginalizing it must have been for them, it makes me furious. It makes me furious to see that. And listen, they have the leftover barrel on this one. There's really nothing you can say. You invented this non-binary idea. You intentionally made it incoherent, ambiguous, totally impossible to define, arbitrary. You're the ones who declared that being non-binary or being trans carries with it no standards or requirements of any kind. You certainly can't make determinations about who someone is and what their identity is just by looking at them. You said. If you say that you're non-binary, then you are, and that's it. What does it mean to be non-binary? Like, to look at someone and say, "Well, I don't think they're really non-binary." What do you mean, really non-binary? It literally is nothing. It's just a phrase that you use. That's the rule that you set up. So it makes no sense for you to sit there and say that these men aren't non-binary or aren't presenting themselves as non-binary. That's my favorite thing about this, is that they're getting blamed for not presenting. What do you mean presenting yourself?
Should have dyed that hair.
And you have no right to say that. Like, according to you, you have no right to tell anyone that they are or are not non-binary. How dare you? How dare you?
All right, that's enough.
I say again,
I think that's funny as hell. I don't know about y'all, but that to me is hilarious. Big gotcha. And that's the corner that women are in now. All of these spaces that were created with the intent of giving women a leg up, giving them assistance, helping them integrate, address our specific needs in different environments, communities. It all goes out the window when we say that men can be women, and we say that there's such thing as, a third non-binary gender that somehow should be included as well as with women. I mean, it's just funny to me, honestly, because and then just that guy standing up and being so smug at the conference, like, men aren't welcome here if you're gonna uplift, and to call like the men in question cisgender. I mean, this is the problem with this, and the fact that it's this deliberately ambiguous characterization of individuals into this third non-binary gender category. It's going to have to be tested, and I think it's really great that these men tested those waters, honestly. And like, what did we find? Is now people are pushing back about it. They're saying, oh, no, actually, there has to be some sort of standard to this thing. but in regular life, people having to deal with this, on the day-to-day, don't have much recourse. When you're dealing with an individual like this in your workplace or anywhere else, your home, your family, school, what have you, there's not really any recourse people have to deal with it. It's incredibly isolating and frustrating. And so I do actually think it's great that it seems to be, and this isn't the first example I've seen of like men adopting this identity to push back against it, because honestly, what it does give this, it does give whoever opts into it a level of power over others. I read this, I think it was on Reddit, but I read this post a while ago of this guy talking about how he ended up getting a very irritating social justice warrior in his office actually fired because she refused to use they, them pronouns for him. So when they made it kind of arbitrary, or not arbitrary, but they made it mandatory that people would have to use or put their pronouns on things, he started doing they, them to test the waters. And of course, this young woman apparently refused to use the they, them pronoun for him because she didn't believe him. And it's the same thing that we see with these men invading this women in tech conference under the guise of being non-binary. I mean, what is a legitimately non-binary man? And how does that differ from why is one welcome at a women in tech conference? So even if you are identified or into that world, whatever that identity, that's your thing, you've been doing it for years, whatever. How does that make you different from other men? Tangibly. And what about that experiences gives you access to a women's space that another man shouldn't be able to access? I don't understand. It's like this muddying of the water, and then there's pushback against that muddying of the water. So it's like there has to be some sort of standard, but the standard is that what your social media reflects I don't get that. They said searchable history of having a non-binary identity. No searchable history in these guys' cases. So somebody's social media is now the point that we have to look at to see are they really this arbitrary thing that doesn't mean anything or not? It's so confusing. It's wild to me. I don't know, but I applaud these guys, and I hope more men do shit like this. Honestly, it needs to be disrupted. This is serious. Okay, this is going to have profound ramifications for future generations, and the only way it is going to get nipped in the bud is if the hypocrisy of it is exposed, which is what this is doing. In my opinion anyway. If you're saying that any male, or you're saying that men can attend this conference if they identify as a woman or non-binary, well, what does that mean? Let's actually test those waters. Let's actually see what that means and see where this is going. And it's just, it's astounding. It's astounding on all levels. And what is this non-binary thing going to mean for sports in in 10 years time? We're already having this disaster with sports teams, and that what's it going to mean in 10 years when these non-binaries want to play sports? What team are they going to go on? I mean, it's just ridiculous. All of it is ridiculous, and I'm kind of just tired of it, over it. A weird beatnik is still here. Were you watching? Could you hear that video? I haven't really shared video on here before, so I just, want to make sure. Talk about the surgery. Honey, let me tell you, I don't know if you've seen the channel Exelanzic, that content creator, but she has done quite a few videos just responding to and showcasing, talking about people's experiences with these surgeries. Like, apart from like making women uncomfortable, I mean, it's just on a personal, selfish level for you. You might want to think about it on that level, just purely for selfish reasons, because the rate of serious complications and likelihood of incontinence and just other issues is something to really be mindful of. Like, I'd always kind of been like, obviously I've always been against this stuff, not always, but like for many years been against this kind of thing. But like, the more I've learned about what actually happens to people and what people are actually dealing with, like, the angrier I actually am about it, like just on a personal human level, because now I've just heard so many horror stories from people who've gone through these surgeries. And apart from like what it does to your sexual function alone, you're talking about your urinary function, and sometimes even like the other one, like the number of people who end up incontinent or unable to control their bladder, like, or dealing with like serious infections like serious long-term infections. I mean, that is not an area of the body you want to cut into unless it's absolutely 100% like medically necessary. And I've tried having this conversation with like people, and like I actually got really irritated with the conversation because like this person brought it up. They kept saying that like I'm against bodily autonomy, and it's just like, I don't think people really understand, unless you've dealt with serious health problems, what it's like to deal with serious health and medical issues, like what it's actually like day to day. Like, if you are an able-bodied, healthy person, you really cannot fathom the difference in your lived experience and your life quality. So I just, that's something to me that was really angering, to know that so many people have kind of been bamboozled into this and are now facing these serious health consequences, when what they really needed was actual care and like help with dealing with their mental distress. Again, it's just like, they needed actual tools to help deal with that. And instead it's so appalling, upsetting, and angering to me that, like, honestly, this has happened. And I know it's like, I don't really get into that about it very often, because I do have quite a level of kind of also kind of concern and just, I don't know, animosity towards the AGPs. But it does distress me to know that so many men and women have had this done to them. Like, it does distress me. It does distress me to know that people are being taken advantage of in this way, and are being put through this level of hell that they really, I don't think people can consent to something like that. You know what I mean? And how, if you don't know what it's like, how do you consent to that? And then there's just so many videos like in the community of like transitioners where they're talking about all of these horrible, horrible, horrible medical health complications they are facing, like sepsis, constant infection, like pain, discomfort, lack of sexual function, incontinence. Like they're dealing with these real issues. And then they stand there and like, oh, but I don't regret it. I'm like, honey, the cope is real. Like you really are, the level of cope you are going through right now is real. Because like if you admit that you regret it, what happens to you at that point? Well, then you're the enemy because you're against people now. And it's just like, you're against people's autonomy, blah, 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 these stupid buzzwords that don't mean anything. It's just so disingenuous. And like, I feel like people just turn their minds off when this subject comes up because it's like, oh, these people are so downtrodden and distressed and oppressed and all of this nonsense. And it's like, wake up to what's going on. Like, let me tell you, when you become permanently disabled because of your health problems, when you become, so uncomfortable and so just like in so much physical distress, you're going to be so much worse off. And, it just is so angering to me. It's like, I let it pass, I don't sit in it, but when I get thinking about it and I get talking about it, like that anger comes up because it's like, this should not be happening to people. It really shouldn't. Like, it should not be happening to people. It is. And it's done under the guise of like, oh, well, they consented. Like, how does somebody consent to an unknown? How does somebody consent to something that they don't understand? And I even watched a video the other day of like, it was Candace Owens speaking at, I think it was Penn State. And of course she had all these like, young people coming up, but one of them was a young woman who apparently is on testosterone and like taking other sorts of interventions to, masculinize her appearance and whatnot. And, something that had been mentioned was the fact that a lot of people who go through these interventions end up sterilized, effectively sterilized, or they end up effectively like, what's the other word? Like infertile because of, what's done to them. Like they're not able to reproduce. Women who go through these interventions. And this young woman, she was just like, where did you get this information? Because none of my doctors ever said that. And I was like, well, yeah, they're not going to tell you. They're not going to tell you the complications. And I hear that so often from people that I've interacted with that have gone through, like the number of women I know who've like had their, young women who've had their breasts removed, and even one who had her uterus removed. Like they're never really like the full ramifications of all of what is done to them is not really discussed. Like, when you have this tissue here removed, it's not just like a simple thing. You're actually going to lose muscle mass. You're going to have like scarring. You're going to have to deal with like the ramifications of not being able to move in the same way. Like, hey, that might actually affect you. Or, like, hey, you go on these certain drugs and take these hormones, you might not be able to have children. Oh, it's so terrible. It's so terrible. And it's like, how do you honestly, effectively communicate with someone who is 11 about the real life ramifications of those choices, or younger. Like, how do you really communicate with a teen about what all of that's going to mean when they're like in this level of weird distress and anxiety and like social pressure? Yeah, I don't like that term either. First off, number one, most people who get called that term are not radical feminists. So that is what's irritated about it more than anything else. So it's like, you know, the term trans exclusive radical feminist, the number of people who get called that aren't even radical feminists, it's like irritating to me. And also, like, there is no inclusive radical feminism. But anyway, it's okay to be who you are, and it's not okay to change our bodies. I mean, it's okay to change your body in terms of like health, like making positive, healthy choices, exercising, you know, sculpting it that way, doing that kind of thing. But yeah, it's when we're getting into what's going on with people, it's just, I don't think that in these circumstances that there's very meaningful consent going on, and it bothers me. Oh, hi, Lori. Welcome to the channel. Oh, you should have been here a little bit ago. I was just sharing David Rovics's last podcast. It was an interesting thing. And then I shared some Matt Walsh. Keep it balanced. Yeah, I don't know. It disturbs me, you know, it disturbs me. Yeah, if anybody watching, I'd recommend go subscribe to Strange Bedfellows. It's pretty good production. I was watching, yeah, thank you, hon. I was watching the show you did with Caleb the other day, and I was like, man, I need to step it up. Lori, you're on it. You are on it. I was like, oh, this show is good. She's hitting all the points. I enjoyed that conversation. Hi, sweetie. You want up here? You want to make an appearance? You been napping? Hey, baby, come on, get up here. Yeah, we've been all over the place today, but initially I came on to work on my drawing. Hi, baby. Come on. You want to come up here? Why don't you come up and say hi? Why don't you come up and say, I know you want to be up here. Come here, baby. Come on. Get up here. Say hi. Come on. You want to be famous? Come on. You get in this lap. What you doing? One moment, y'all. My cat. You look upset. What's wrong? Come on. Get your butt up here. You can do it. You strong. You leap way higher than this. Oh, that's my kitty. There he is. There he is. That's my kitty. There's my kitty. Oh, what a good kitty. That's a good kitty. Look, everybody. It's a good kitty. Look at this good kitty. Oh, he's so good. You are so good. You're the goodest person I ever met. Ain't no one as good as you. Ain't no one as good as you. You the best. You so good. What a good kitty. You so good. That's a good kitty. That's a good kitty. He's good. He loved me. He loved his country. He loved him wet food. He loved him nap spots. And you, Mama threw down, didn't I? I threw down my jacket and you said, I'm going to take a nap on it, didn't you? Yeah, you did. Oh, look, there's another little black kitty out there. Oh, that would be nice. We should talk about I don't know what we would talk about, but I'm sure we'd have a great conversation. I would love to be on your show. Thank you. That's sweet of you. I'm like, oh, yeah, what we're going to talk about? We could talk about a lot of things. Yeah. What a good kitty. What a good kitty. That's a good kitty. Oh my God, I love him. He's so good looking. Yeah, what did we talk about today? We talked about quite a few things. Look, there's another black kitty out there. I know. You thought you was the only one. But there are other black kitties. There are other black kitties in this world. They're not as good. No kitty as good as you. But there's other ones out there. I bet they're just as mischievous, though. And you know what? It's black cat season. Yeah, it's the time of year that you all get extra lovin's. People love big black kitties on the spooky season. I can't believe it. Like, some people do not like black cats. I mean, I've had them come on the stream before. I was live and the cat showed up, doing his little do, and they were like, "Oh, he's black. They're aggressive." I'm like, that sounds a bit racist. Thank you. I think black cats are the best. I've always had black cats. Like, I've had, like, my first cat that I remember having, like, when I was 4 or 5, he was orange. That was, like, the only cat I've had that wasn't, like, black or black and white. The rest of them have all been black. And you know what? I wouldn't change a thing. Well, actually, that's not true. Fred wasn't black. She was a calico. Okay, so I did have, not a calico. She was a tortie. Excuse me, not a calico. She was a tortie. She was a special girl. But yeah, I do end up, I just love black cats. They're little panthers. Oh, look at Happy Catterday. Well, you got Happy Catterday. Look at that. Happy Catterday. Yes, it's Catterday. It's the day for the kitty. And when we celebrate the kitty, that's when we celebrate the kitty and how good it is to have a kitty and to be a kitty. You're such a good kitty. I never met no kitty like you in my whole life. You the kitty. You the one. Oh, he did the pats. Oh, he get the pats and you making biscuits in the air. That's a good kitty. Yeah, they are. They really are. I feel like they're very protective and they're special. I don't know. They're special cats. And yeah, they are good luck. They do chase away like the bad energy. A little black kitty. Everybody need a little black kitty in their life, making their life better. Weird Beatnik loves cats of all kinds. Well, that's, of course. Of course. I love all kitties, but I usually end up with black kitties. And you know what? That's fine with me. Because you know what? They don't get adopted as much. Even now, modern era, people still have stigma against them, or they think they don't photograph as well because, but I get some good photographs of this kitty. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And he's so sweet and loving. Aren't you? Give me you want something in your eye. Let me get that out. Okay. Yeah, we don't want no nasties in your eyes. Oh, we're having a kitty moment. Yeah. Oh, man. I used to, when I was on Twitter, I'm no longer on Twitter. I am free. But when I was on Twitter, I used to do like Halloween, like tweet out songs on Halloween. I mean, the Susie and the Banshees have that Halloween song. So put that on your playlist. Then there's Ministries, Every Day is Halloween. And then you have Bauhaus. You could do quite a few of their songs for that. Obviously, classic Bela Lugosi's Dead. You could do Spirit. Thinking of other, of course I know some Halloween music. Are you kidding me? What's the name? Who does that song? It's like, it came in the, I'll share that song. I'll find it here and I'll share it with you. We'll have a nice little Halloween. We'll do a nice little Halloween song special since we're having a fun little hang out today. I think, yeah, that's it. Okay. So give me a second. We're going to set this up. Okay, yeah, this will be a fun song for Halloween. I'm excited to share it with y'all. Give me a sec, okay? Oh, look at me go. All right. I'm still figuring out how to do this, okay? So we'll present, share screen.
Things that go bump in the night give me a terrible fright. I turned round to switch on the lights. Something was holding me tight. In the night. Give me the night, give me the night, give me the night. Give me the night, give me the night, give me the It looked like an argument, right? It seemed to go brighter than white. I thought for a time it would bite. Perhaps I could put up a fight. Never thought that this would happen. You kissed me goodnight. Now we get some confusion. It's such a Give me the light, give me the light, give me the light. Give me a right, give me a right, give me a right. Things that go bump in the night give me a terrible fright. I turned round to switch on the lights. Something was holding me tight. Give me the night. 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 Give me the night.
All right, wasn't that nice? So the name of that group is A Raincoat. So add that to your Halloween playlist. Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Oh. All right. Oh, missed this comment from Lori. Yeah, it is a shame because black cats are sweet. So yeah, I'm fond of them. But you know what? They always tend to find their way to me. Like this little one was a stray when I found him. So it was just meant to be. Oh, we have a question. Hi, Em. Have I kept up with Tori Amos? I know we all judged her latter albums harshly. Did we? Where did you leave off with her, and what did her early albums mean to you now? Yo, I'm going to out myself here. I'm not a Tori Amos fan. I mean, like, I like a few of her songs, but I never got into her catalog. I never really was inspired to, like, listen to any of her albums. So I can't really answer that question about Tori Amos, unfortunately. Like, you know, I have listened to the Strange Little Girls album. So, but that's like an album of covers. So I can't really, I don't know. I can't really answer that question. I know it seems like I should be a Tori Amos fan, but I'm just not. You know, got into some of her songs, and, you know, obviously she is an important figure, but yeah, I never really got into her. You know, I know that makes me a bad feminist and woman and person probably, but I don't know. There is something kind of, you know, I did just an aside recently. So I know I got on here and did a quick live stream months ago when everybody was ragging on Madonna for her bullet, you know, her face and all of that and all her plastic surgery. But there was this, one of my friends had posted on her Facebook about it, just kind of going over her take on the whole thing. And obviously she was also pro Madonna. But yeah, in the comments section, there was one of the men in her friends list was, you know, going on about how Madonna sexualized herself and like how, you know, her music was really sexual, and she was like comparing her to Tori Amos and like saying, you know, Tori Amos is aged and, you know, we can take her seriously because she didn't sexualize herself, or her music, she wasn't leading with her sexuality. And I was like, just because it didn't turn you on does not mean that her music isn't sexual or her sexuality isn't pronounced throughout her music. You know, I think that's the thing. Like, and I just had that kind of like, oh, what a douchebag comment for a man to make. Because, you know, the thing with Madonna, like, that's the other thing about some women too. I don't think people realize there are different kinds of pretty. And some women are, it's just, I don't even know if I want to go in there, but like some women are just that way. I don't know how else to put it. Like, it's all, you know, apart from going in about her age. So like Madonna's 60, right? So apparently it's wrong for her to be sexual at that age. Apparently women just dry up, apparently, once we go through the menopause. And just the layers of misogyny around the whole controversy with Madonna, like, and her, you know, apart from how I personally feel about these kind of like surgical interventions that people have, and the number of like extreme body modifications that people go through, I personally detest that kind of thing. but I don't think it diminishes a person's humanity, you know, or their achievements, or, you know, their quality. Yeah, I guess that's my perspective on all of that. It doesn't diminish who a person is because they've done that, you know, or they've chosen to get those kind of interventions. And honestly, the level of star she is, it's to be expected. I feel like when you're a star of that magnitude and level, like, you know, you're just otherworldly at that point. So, but anyway, yeah, I thought that was just Tori Amos. I thought it was just so hilarious that that man was pontificating, saying that that Tori Amos's work wasn't sexual. I was just like, man, what the hell are you talking about? Just because you aren't turned on by it, you know, just because you don't get it doesn't mean it's not there. Just because it's not your thing doesn't mean it's not sexual. And I think that's another thing. A lot of people, and by people I mean a certain half of the population, you know, they don't see things as sexual or women as sexual if they're not personally attracted to or interested in what they're doing. So whatever. Okay, I'm glad you liked that song. Add it to your playlist. I feel the same way about Fleetwood Mac, to be honest. Not my bag. Yeah, I don't know. Fleetwood Mac is one of those things, like, I have a soft spot for them just because I grew up listening to them quite a bit, particularly like the Rumors and Tango in the Night album. My dad had that on cassette and like would play it in the car, you know. It was just one of those ones that so it's an album I've heard over and over again. So there's fond memories attached to like some Fleetwood Mac, but like personally, like, yeah, I'm not like, I don't know. I guess I like them. I don't want to say I don't like them. I do like them. We'll just say I like them because I do. Honestly think that Patti Smith did a better cover of Smells Like Teen Spirit, better than Nirvana or Terry Amos. Terry Amos. Terry Amos. I love Terry's. I don't know. I'm kind of an original gal. Like, I did like Patti Smith's version of, what is that song? Is it After the Gold Rush? The Neil Young song? Well, I dreamed I saw the knights in armor come and saying something about a queen. Okay, I love Neil Young. I'll admit that. I'm a big fan of him. Although I thought he got a little lame with the Joe Rogan thing, and you know, taking himself off of Spotify because of the Joe Rogan podcast. I thought that was like, and that Joni Mitchell followed suit. I was like, what the hell is wrong with them? Ooh, I'm opening up that can of worms again. I thought that was some nonsense because I love a lot of Canadian artists, honestly. Like, but that time period, there's so many like amazing artists. And I know I talked on another stream about it, but I had watched this. I'd watched this documentary about Rick James, and he had gone and lived in Canada to avoid going back to Vietnam. And he like met and worked with a lot of those Canadian artists at that time. So I was just like learning that. I was like, damn, he it really gave me like a whole new perspective on him. But yeah, I love Patti Smith. She's amazing. I have autism. Please forgive me if I spell weird. It's okay. Shit. People without autism spell things weird. You don't have to worry about it. No. Yeah. Yeah, that was disappointing about Neil Young. Especially because I have Spotify and I want to listen to him sometimes. And I'm like, I can't. And I'm like, okay, let me dig out my Neil Young CD. Oh no, half of this one is like, because I have that one 2-part. I think it's called Decade. It was like a compilation. And I only have one of the CDs. Where's the other one? I don't know. It's missing. I don't know how CDs go missing, but they do. But yeah, Neil Young. He disappointed me. And Joni. They both disappointed me with that nonsense. Also, because it's so, again, it's like that same thing that David Rovics was talking about earlier in that thing I shared. It's like the desire to like no platform people and like take away their, I find it really troubling. And I thought like, I don't know, I just thought maybe they were better than that. I don't know. But there's a lot of crazy stuff happening in Canada right now. So I'm praying for y'all. I'm hoping for the best for y'all, but oh man, there's a lot going on up in Canada. It's like, because usually like I feel like Canadians are looking down here and like shaking their head and like worrying about us. But I'm like looking up there and I'm like, oh my goodness, what is going on? Like, it just seemed like politically the situation is just so dire in so many different ways. And just the attacks on personal freedom of speech, and now freedom of information. I don't know. It's actually really disturbing. And a lot of people that I know in Canada are like, just on Facebook recently, a lot of, I don't want to say a lot, but a couple of Canadians that I'm friends with, like, were sharing that, yeah, they couldn't access a lot now, or they were getting like these people would share things and they couldn't see them. So like the level of censorship that's going on is pretty troubling. Like it's going to come to a point where like, you know, they can't see or share or like participate. And it's like, well, if this is happening in Canada, where else is it going to be happening? You know, how's this going to go down? It's terrifying. It really is. It's terrifying. It's disturbing. And I really just, I don't know. I hope that things get better, but I don't know. How do you get a better situation from that? You know, how does it get better from that? Because like once you start cracking down on like freedom of information and speech, it's really a tricky place to be. And I think it's something, you know, a lot of nations are kind of dealing with this now with the big tech censorship and goodness gracious me. I just don't know what to do, especially as a small-time content creator making my independent media content here on the YouTubes. I just don't know what to do about it. Okay, so let's see if there's anything else I'd like to share with y'all. Since we have a lull in the chat, and of course, feel free to leave any comments or questions if you have. Appreciate it when y'all do, because again, this is a free-spirited chat today. Oh yeah, I don't want to get into that, but yeah, it's Oh, here's an interesting video. 160,000 views. Portland is a bit of a disaster, but not for the reasons you think. Oh, that's curious. I'm curious. Should I click on it? Heart of one of America's most misunderstood cities. I don't know. I think I might. We'll avoid that one. Oh, that might make a different, yeah, I might do that on another live stream. I'll just do it as that, I think. Yeah, I'm getting ideas here, just running through. What the? Yeah, that is true. That is true. Yeah, I've apart from the healthcare, I mean, there's also the it doesn't include dental care, so that's something to be aware of. So like, and I think that's the same in the UK as well. It's rough. I mean, it's difficult because it's a good thing to have a universal healthcare system, but at the same time, like, it's not the best. You know, it's you get what you paid for. Unfortunately, I mean, like even in these countries, if you pay for private care, you're going to get better care. It's just unfortunately the way it is. Oh, should we ban pit bulls? We don't want to get on the pit bull topic again. He. Yeah, I remember we talked about that in another stream, and people were like, "There's such a." Oh, ooh, that is strong. It's almost over. Yeah, I'm not seeing much. Too bad. I think next time we'll just have to. Healthcare is actually one of my biggest issues right now as an autistic person. I think we should all have healthcare in some form. Yeah, it's a challenge, you know, it really is. I don't know what to say about it. I mean, access is definitely a problem, but, you know, even if you do have insurance, you know, it's such a minefield to walk through. Like, I got new insurance, you know, when I changed my job, and then, you know, I couldn't go to my usual clinic that I've been going to for years. But that was okay because I really needed to sever ties with that doctor. I didn't like her. And honestly, I wanted to get off of the medications I was taking. So I have. So I'm kind of in a limbo right now with my treatment for my health issues. You know, it's hard to navigate, and it's a lot. And it's really challenging to get any kind of care, you know, but whatever. Whatever. Even in a good situation, it's just, you know, it's challenging. Let's see. Hmm. 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 Oh, that looks like a fun conversation. Phone going off. Hold up. Looks like I'm going to be on the Strange Bedfellows podcast at some point, y'all. Honey, you might want to think, I don't know if I want to share that. That's one of the reasons I'm having a hard time this election season. Basically, I'm looking for somebody who cares about women's rights and healthcare and also cares about the earth. Good luck with that, honey. That ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen. Nope. That don't exist. That's not a real thing. Sorry, that ain't out there. Let's see. No. I don't know. I don't really have advice about that, honestly. La-di-da-di-da. Yeah, I didn't even go over that. Today is the anniversary of the GDR being founded in 1949. That's something special. There it goes again. So much nonsense out there. It's so hard to come across, I just find looking through here and going through everything that's suggested, actual content creators. Recently uploaded, let's see. That sounds exciting. There's so much of it, yeah, just so much of this is just overproduced nonsense. Some of it is real people, but a lot of it just isn't. I look through it and I think, years ago how YouTube was, and I'm seeing so few things that are interested in the way that was, or that, this medium that we're on right now, what it had to offer. It just just isn't the same. Obviously things change, but it's just like, whenever I come across like an actual person, it's just exciting, a person that actually sits and makes things out of their own mind, sits and talks and creates in that way. Wild, I tell you, wild. Anyway, enough of that. I have been on for a while, so I think, I'm going to head out too. Thank you, everyone who's been here and watched throughout the stream. I appreciate your presence, and I look forward to, being on another time. So thanks for joining me as I drew. Thanks for chatting, your comments, questions, all appreciated. And thanks for sitting through some videos with me as well. And I'll see you next time. Bye.